Something came across to me in the Torah portion this week. It's Devarim, and we're thinking about the new generation being given almost like a deathbed monologue of wisdom from their leader Moses. You know, when someone's about to die, you start to listen to them a bit more. So one thought that really hit me like a ton of bricks, in a good way. It's, you have stayed long enough at this mountain. Oh, that's what Moses says here. You stayed long enough. And that's, I'll tell you what, in my life, that I'm being challenged by that, to realize that me staying at that mountain is me to stop being held back by actually the ghost of a slave mentality, a ghost of a first generation that cannot go in and inhabit. It's like, and suddenly I just, my scales fell from my eyes that in certain situations, certain things in my life, I am stuck with hearing the voice from the past rather than the call to the future. There's a reality that the future is, that has a voice calling me from. Did you get it?
The future reality is beckoning you into a paradigm that is actually there for you.
Yeah, and that kind of like echoes what I was going to say, actually. That wasn't actually what I was going to say. It's, there's these repeated 9 times in Devarim. Now, I'm not sure whether that's in this Torah portion or whether it's in the whole book of Devarim, but it just hit me anyway. Just take this as a seed thought. Devarim contrasts God's persistent generosity, I have given you, repeated 9 times, with human resistance. Both of these are inside of me. And it says, yeah, I have given you, repeated 9 times, with human resistance. So at these moments, I have given you the land, but the resistance is there. It's like, I have already given you this. Like, it's a lot of the times with the land, is in the past tense. It's perfect. It's done. Especially with the spies. That was one of the incidents that we hear repeated in Devarim in this week's portion. And it's this memory that actually, it is in the past tense, already given. It's, and it's like, imagine a child, well, actually that's happened with my niece when she was little. You do something for her and she's losing it. She's on the floor losing it because it's not happening. And I've sorted it out for her. And it's like, Lucy, hello, open your eyes. Get out of your little tantrum on the floor. Open your eyes and see that I've, like, something dropped on the floor. It's not broken. I put it on the side. It's all good. This is like completely, it's losing it. It's, so yeah, I was just seeing the contrast with that. Like, that's what it's like. It's like, I've given you the land. What's going on here? But we don't have an ear to hear that. And I was just saying, this is what I wanted to say. There are those who know God's ways and those who don't. And I would say there are those who can hear the voice of the future and those who can't. And I said, both of them are inside of me. And I'm aware of them when things happen, when I'm kicking off. I know I've heard the voice of the future, the voice of hope, the voice of purpose, the voice of what God has put within me. But at the same time, something's lashing out within me. And sometimes it's triggered by other people, by external. You know, I had a situation recently where I posted something and it was really like potent stuff. And then someone criticized something about it, like the grammar, like, and completely like didn't see, and also that my interpretation of it. And it was so hard to deal with that. And I was like, what is that rising up within me? I was affected deeply by criticism, as it were. And I had to roll back to the moment before I posted that, into the energy of why I posted that. And I could have entered into an argument. I could have fought. I could have like fisticuffed, you know, at that moment. It's like, can't you see what I've just posted? I don't care about the grammar. I don't, like, okay, I may have something wrong, but plug into the essence of what I'm saying here. This is transformative stuff I'm sharing, and I'm hoping that people will hear. And thankfully, it seems like it landed with some people. And I tell you what, if I'd have started an argument, that would have been the focus. And sometimes with social media, we've just got to learn to just turn it off, that desire within us to fight back. And I think that is the dual nature within our journey towards the nature of God within us, a nature that wants to be realized within us. And yeah, there are those who know God's ways and those who don't. And the realization within me that, some people, they're just concrete. And sometimes for me, this is me talking from my learning of life, is sometimes you just got to leave people to it. They are not going to listen. They're, especially narcissists. And that's a difficult one. You can't argue with a narcissist is a phrase I heard. But so within me, and I'm just proposing here, this is kind of like goes along with my thought. Within me, there may be a narcissist that isn't going to change. But also within me is the changed person, the changed paradigm, the me that does know God's ways, know God's voice, has faith in God's journey with me, God's faithfulness, who knows God and trusts him. There's a second generation inside of me. And on a DNA level, this generation, I think Moses was aware of this as he was given this speech in Devarim. There's going to be 30 plus chapters of him giving his final speech to them. But within that warning is data that they can take hold of if they find it within themselves to into the future. It's like, later on in Deuteronomy, it's almost like Moses is saying, you are not going to. And he's right, they're not going to. And you think, gosh, that's a curse on them. But it's like, no, be aware of what the DNA that is sleeping within you at the moment. But this is a long way off before you become the people that God wanted you to be generationally. And I think that's with humanity. I think I said this before, that I think we were talking about it when we were talking, what was the conversation about when he got to the mountain?
I think we're talking about, the finger of God.
Yeah, finger of God. I can't remember the conversation it was. We just edited it. Something about the two trees, was it? No, it's the frogs.
That's it, the frogs, when they're at the mountain, thinking they've arrived at Sinai. They don't realise they're right at the beginning of this, that there's a hell of a lot of time after where they are. They haven't arrived. And even when they get to the land, so you think, wow, amazing. But you haven't arrived. You've got millennia of this working out in cyclical ways. Yeah, that's the one.
So it's like when we reach it, when we actually get it sometimes, don't be hoodwinked thinking you are there, which you are there. And that's the crazy thing about it. You've entered into that paradigm. I remember talking with my friend, we travelled to Israel and we went to a congregation down in Eilat that there was some praise and worship going on. And in a moment, we've had it many times as we've conversed, me and my friend, these little windows that for a split second get opened up. And he was in that time of worship and praise. And there was a window that opened, his eyes were opened for a split second. And it was just like glory, angels. He could see kind of like ascending, like smoke. Like it was like, bloody hell, so excuse my language, but it knocked him back. And then the door closed. I think it's like that with sometimes when we get it, when we are operating in our second generation internal state of being. When we get it, the reality is, the down-to-earth reality is, go with it. But don't forget that there's a sleeping first generation within you. I think the parallel is with Jung's idea of the shadow self. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to not demonize, and we need to change the way we deal with those moments in our lives. Often in those moments you get kicked back. I'm sure there's some psychological kind of mechanism to describe this, but I've noticed it in my life when you enter. It's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Sometimes 3 steps forward, 6 steps back.
Yeah, it's very powerful, that sleeping giant of the old DNA within us. And I mean, I think Devarim, the lady from Israel who talks about this with the neurobiology of transformation, is literally the old has gone, the new has come, your whole self has been died, and a new you has been flushed into your body, into your earth suit, as it were. But it retains the fingerprints, the protons. Protons? Is it protons?
Protons, that's an atomic term.
I'm trying to think of the word, begins with P.
Proteins.
That's it. Protons, proteins, yeah. The proteins of the old man are in your brain, like the old fingerprint is there, the old road structure, as it were, of the old ways of thinking. And it takes conscious awareness to continually be in, let's call it, in the terms of Devarim, in second generation thinking. Those who do hear and know the voice of God, those who do know the ways of God. And the reality of God saying, I have given you, over and over again, in order for those new pathways to be formed. And that's the neurobiology of our brains is that, new pathways, as you think on those new pathways, they are constructed, and the old proteins, not protons, the old proteins are broken down almost to make, I don't know whether this is true, but this is how I see it, which really helps me. The old proteins are broken down to become building materials for the new pathways within the thinking. Fire together, wire together.
Neurons fire together, wire together.
Yeah, it's just this idea that fire at the spark of firing of a new thought. If you practice it, if you do it over and over again, eventually the wiring is going to happen. The residue of that spark leaves a little bit of wiring. And every time you spark, and this is a picture I've got in my head, every time you spark that new way of thinking about this situation or this moment, based on the new creation reality that has been flushed into your flesh, your body, has got the imprint of what just died in it. Every flash is a strengthening of the wiring.
Thank you. Great illustration. And the new house, moving into a new house almost. That's another way of putting it.
That's a great way of putting it, because that is what we see in even Devarim, even before we've read that as they move into the promised land, there will be houses already built. There'll be vineyards already planted. And it's theirs to go in and possess. But you have to go through the process of inspecting the walls of some houses that might have surat in it. This kind of mold in the walls is, that's how it looks like it's described. But I think it's a supernatural disease of the building, just as in the body as well. Surat in the body with what we would have translated as Hansen's disease, leprosy. But it's not. It's a spiritual disease for the sake of transformation. And as we've studied out before, the separating off the process really, really speaks into what that really is about that. But the houses.
The houses, it's like coming into a new house. First of all, the gods that would have been in those houses has to come out. Something has to be freshened up in there. You have to move the furniture around, make it yours, That's what it's like. And so that's really the bottom line I'm saying is that's the generation 2 within me that knows God's voice, the generation 2 inside me that knows God's ways. Let me just read this quote again. I think we need to finish there.
Yeah, good time to stop.
I have given... There we go. Devarim contrasts God's persistent generosity. I have given you. And remember, it's generosity. Like, if you can just lean into the energy of the generosity from which God is giving you this stuff, well... that's going to inform your second generation internal reality, isn't it?
Thankfulness.
When someone is generous to you, be thankful to them. And maybe this is a very practical example with the spies, etc. This is what the energy of thankfulness looks like, maybe. Imagine the spies incident with an insert a thankful heart in that moment. That They couldn't go in because they were hearing the ferocity of their insignificance. their slave minds were beaming with one of those PA system in their head saying, you can't do it, you're a grasshopper. And the truth is, yes, that it was an impossible task, to be honest, in human terms. But if they could just hear another PA system saying, I have given you, and if they could just hear within their emotional being the generosity behind what they would be hearing from that PA system of, I have given you. God saying, this is a good land, I have given this to you. And then you turn around in that moment and say, thank you. And when you go into the land, you go in with a thankful attitude. What's that going to do? I mean, it's even further than having faith that he has given you that and that he will empower you. It's deeper. It goes into the psychology of recognizing someone is being generous to you and the thankfulness that comes from it. It's like, I don't know, there's an illustration. I've had it in my life in one specific way that's just life. Someone was generous and said, you need the money for that? We'll lend you the money. And I broke down in tears, fell to the floor, could not handle it. I could not receive it, to be honest. For some days, I was just like, I can't receive this. I can't. And it took a couple of phone calls with these people to realize they did mean business. And I was like, the impossible now, because it was an impossible situation financially. The impossible has become possible through their generosity. And I was so overwhelmed with thankfulness. But within that, I knew a certainty that they were going to give me the money. And I also knew a certainty that the situation that was impossible was going to be sorted because of this money. And a whole life opened up for me because of the generosity of these people. It literally was a complete change of my life in that moment. And I think if the spies would have had that thankfulness, a thankful response, a thankful spirit within them, it would have empowered the generosity. And that's always the blockage, isn't it? The generosity is there. He has given already. If someone's given already, like in the past tense in Hebrew term, the perfect tense. I love the way it's called the perfect tense and the imperfect tense. That's all the tenses we have in Hebrew, not past, present, future. It's just imperfect or perfect, incomplete or completed. If it's already given, then it's a given. And the only thing blocking it now is you.
I love that. If it's already given, it's a given.
Yeah. So I'm going to read this again. Sorry. Every time we read, I go off onto a monologue.
That's the freedom of these conversations.
That's true. It's true. So I'm good. I promise you I won't go off on a monologue now. We're going to stop after I read this, no matter how much I want to. See if I can go by my word here. Devarim contrasts God's persistent generosity, I have given you, repeated 9 times, with human resistance. I think that's what we're talking about, isn't it? There is resistance within us that rises up. I'm trying not to monologue. There are those who know God's ways and those who don't. Both of them are inside of me. Let that sink in. I'll just repeat it because my mind has gone off and it hasn't sunk in with me. God's persistent generosity I have given you, repeated 9 times with human resistance. Look at the scenario there. There are those who know God's ways and those who don't. There are those who know God's voice, those who know God's love, those who know God's generosity, and those who don't. Both of them are inside of me.